Zama Masando is a well-known businesswoman in Johannesburg, running a prestigious real estate firm. She is admired for her beauty, intelligence, and sharp business acumen. However, beneath the polished surface lies a secret life that only she knows. Zama thrives on the thrill of seducing powerful men, politicians, businessmen, and celebrities, using her charm to ensnare them in her web. She believes she's in full control, savoring the influence she holds over these men. But her actions have unintended consequences. One by one, the men she entices face strange and devastating misfortunes. Thabo, a real estate mogul, experiences a shocking financial collapse, losing his company overnight. A popular musician's marriage disintegrates after an affair with Zama, leaving his career in ruins. As the pattern begins to emerge, Zama brushes it off, thinking that the men's fates are unrelated to her. Thabo Makona, a successful real estate developer, is Zama's latest conquest. Their passionate affair begins during a business trip to Cape Town, where Zama uses her wit and charm to win him over. Thabo, smitten, begins pouring resources into joint ventures with Zama, trusting her implicitly. But soon, things take a dark turn. Thabo's company faces a series of devastating setbacks. Deals fall through, investors pull out, and he finds himself on the brink of bankruptcy. His once perfect marriage crumbles as his wife discovers his infidelity. In a matter of months, Thabo's entire life collapses, and Zama watches from the sidelines, guilt gnawing at her. Despite the chaos surrounding Thabo's downfall, Zama refuses to believe she is responsible. Next in line is Sizwe, a charismatic politician with ambitions of becoming a national leader. Zama, drawn to his power, begins an affair with him, intrigued by the challenge of seducing someone so prominent. Sizwe, unable to resist her allure, falls deeply for her, risking his political career. As their relationship progresses, Sizwe's political career takes a sharp downward spiral. Scandals emerge out of nowhere, accusations of corruption, and secrets long buried rise to the surface. His once loyal supporters abandon him, and his reputation is shattered. Despite his pleas, Zama distances herself, troubled by how quickly his life has unraveled. Though she tries to ignore it, the pattern is becoming more difficult to dismiss. Zama begins to experience strange occurrences in her own life. At night, she hears whispers in her dreams, shadowy figures calling her name. These voices seem to warn her, though she cannot make out the message. Her sleep becomes restless, plagued by nightmares of the men she has seduced. One evening, she wakes with a start, her heart racing, convinced she saw a figure standing at the foot of her bed. Shaken, she starts to wonder if these strange events are linked to the downfall of the men in her life. Still, she refuses to acknowledge the possibility that her actions are to blame, chalking it up to stress and paranoia. Zama's seemingly untouchable business begins to face setbacks of its own. A major deal that she has been working on for months suddenly falls apart. Clients begin to pull out of contracts, and rumors spread about her firm's instability. For the first time in her career, Zama feels the sting of failure, and it terrifies her. Simultaneously, her relationships with family and friends begin to deteriorate. Her mother, who had always been supportive, becomes distant, sensing something is wrong. Zama's best friend, Ayanda, confronts her about the toxic men she surrounds herself with, warning her that her lifestyle will lead to disaster. Zama brushes her off, unwilling to admit the cracks that are starting to form. Desperate for answers, Zama visits a traditional healer, an old woman named Gogo Namvula, who is known for her deep spiritual insight. Reluctantly, Zama opens up about the strange occurrences in her life, the men who have suffered after being with her, and the mysterious whispers in her dreams. Gogo listens intently before warning Zama that her actions have awakened forces beyond her control. Gogo tells Zama that she has become entangled in a spiritual curse, one that punishes those who use love and power for selfish gain. The curse, Gogo explains, affects not only the men she seduces but also Zama herself. As the curse tightens its grip, Zama's life will continue to unravel unless she takes responsibility and seeks redemption. Gogo Namvula reveals that the curse Zama is facing is not new, it is tied to her ancestors. Generations ago, a woman in Zama's lineage had manipulated men for power and wealth, using her beauty as a weapon. In punishment, the ancestors placed a curse on the family, dooming any woman who followed in her footsteps to bring ruin to the men she touched. Zama is horrified by the revelation, but Gogo warns her that the curse is still active. The more she continues down her path, the more destruction she will cause, including her own downfall. Zama leaves the healer's home feeling shaken, unsure of what to do next. For the first time, she realizes that her actions are not as inconsequential as she once thought. Determined to understand the full extent of the damage she has caused, Zama begins to investigate the lives of the men she has been involved with. She discovers that Thabo, the tech entrepreneur, has lost everything: his company, his home, and his family. His once bright future is now a distant memory. Sizwe, the politician, is embroiled in legal battles, his career in shambles. Zama's heart sinks as she realizes the true cost of her actions. These men are not just statistics, they are human beings whose lives have been destroyed because of her choices. The guilt weighs heavily on her, and she knows she must do something to stop the curse from spreading further. As Zama grapples with her guilt, her own life begins to spiral out of control. Her business, once thriving, is on the verge of collapse. Investors are pulling out, clients are going to competitors, and her reputation is tarnished. Zama's personal relationships are also falling apart. Her family distances themselves, sensing that something is wrong. Even her closest friends start to withdraw. Zama tries to maintain control, but she feels like she is drowning. The whispers in her dreams grow louder, and the shadows in the night seem to close in on her. She knows she can't continue down this path, but she doesn't know how to escape the curse that is consuming her life. Desperate for answers, Zama visits her mother, hoping to learn more about the curse that has plagued their family for generations. Her mother, hesitant at first, finally opens up about the family's dark history. She reveals that the curse was placed on their lineage because of a woman named Nandi, Zama's great-great-grandmother, who used her beauty and charm to manipulate men and gain power. Nandi's actions angered the ancestors, who cursed her descendants to suffer the consequences of any woman who followed in her footsteps. Zama's mother tells her that the curse can only be broken through sincere repentance and atonement. Zama leaves her mother's house feeling overwhelmed, realizing that the weight of the family's history rests on her shoulders. Determined to break the curse, Zama devises a plan. She will reach out to the men whose lives she has ruined and offer them sincere apologies, as well as whatever help she can provide to repair the damage she has caused. Zama knows it won't be easy. Some of these men despise her, and others may never forgive her, but she is willing to do whatever it takes to make amends. Her first step is to contact Thabo, the tech entrepreneur whose business collapsed after their affair. Zama arranges a meeting, prepared for whatever response she will receive. She knows this is just the beginning of her journey, but she is determined to see it through. Zama meets with Thabo in a small cafe, her heart pounding as she prepares to apologize. To her surprise, Thabo listens to her apology with a calm demeanor. Though he admits that he blames her for much of what happened, he also recognizes that his own choices played a role in his downfall. Thabo tells Zama that while he cannot fully forgive her yet, he appreciates her willingness to take responsibility. He agrees to let her help him rebuild his life, starting with a business partnership that could help him get back on his feet. Zama leaves the meeting feeling a small glimmer of hope, knowing that she has taken the first step toward redemption. Next on Zama's list is Sizwe, the politician whose career was destroyed by scandal after their affair. Sizwe, however, is not as forgiving as Thabo. When Zama reaches out to him, he refuses to meet with her, accusing her of being the cause of all his misfortunes. He tells her that he never wants to see her again and that no apology could undo the damage she has caused. Zama is devastated by Sizwe's response, but she knows that not everyone will be willing to forgive her. She resolves to continue her path of atonement, even if some doors remain closed. The road to redemption, she realizes, is not a straight line. Zama continues to meet with Gogo Namvula, seeking guidance on how to break the curse. Gogo tells her that her journey toward redemption is not just about making amends with the men she has hurt. It's also about reconnecting with her ancestors and healing the spiritual wounds that have been passed down through generations. Gogo advises Zama to perform a cleansing ritual, one that will allow her to communicate with the ancestors and seek their forgiveness. The ritual, however, is not without risk. If Zama is not sincere in her intentions, the curse could intensify, and the consequences could be dire. Despite the danger, Zama agrees to go through with it, determined to make things right. With Gogo Namvula's guidance, Zama prepares for the cleansing ritual. She gathers the necessary items, herbs, candles, and a white cloth, and travels to a remote location outside of Johannesburg, where the ritual must be performed. As night falls, Zama stands in the middle of a circle of candles, reciting the incantations Gogo taught her. As the ritual progresses, Zama feels a strange energy surrounding her, as if the spirits of her ancestors are watching. She speaks aloud, asking for their forgiveness and vowing to change her ways. The air grows heavy, and Zama hears the familiar whispers from her dreams, but this time they are clearer. The ancestors are speaking to her, and she can feel their presence. As Zama completes the ritual, she suddenly feels a powerful force wash over her, as if the spirits of her ancestors are responding to her plea. The whispers grow louder, and she hears a voice speaking directly to her. "You must walk the path of truth and sacrifice if you are to be free." Zama collapses to the ground, overwhelmed by the intensity of the experience. She knows that the ancestors have heard her, but their message is clear. Her journey toward redemption is far from over. She must continue to atone for her past actions and make sacrifices if she is to break the curse for good. In the days following the ritual, Zama begins to notice small changes in her life. Her business stabilizes slightly, and she feels a renewed sense of purpose. However, she knows that the real test is still ahead. Gogo Namvula warns her that in order to break the curse completely, Zama must make a significant sacrifice, one that will test her commitment to redemption. Zama wrestles with the idea of sacrifice. What is she willing to give up in order to free herself from the curse? She thinks of the men whose lives she has ruined and the pain she has caused. The answer, she realizes, lies in letting go of the power and control she has always craved. Zama decides to take a bold step toward breaking the curse by relinquishing control of her company. She appoints a trusted colleague, Sizwe, to take over as CEO while she steps down from her position. For someone who has always prided herself on being in control, this decision is incredibly difficult, but Zama knows it's necessary. As she watches Sizwe take the reins, Zama feels a sense of relief mixed with fear. She is no longer the powerful businesswoman who controlled everything around her. Instead, she is a woman on a journey of redemption, learning to let go of the things that once defined her. As Zama continues her journey, she begins to understand the true power of forgiveness, not just from others, but also from herself. She starts to forgive herself for the mistakes she has made, realizing that holding on to guilt and shame will only keep her trapped in the cycle of destruction. Zama reaches out to the remaining men in her life, offering apologies and assistance where she can. Some accept her help, while others, like Sizwe, remain distant. But Zama knows that the process of healing is not just about the other person's response. It's about her willingness to take responsibility for her actions and make amends. One day, while walking through the bustling streets of Johannesburg, Zama has a chance encounter with Thabo. To her surprise, Thabo looks better than he has in years. He tells her that with her help, he was able to rebuild his business and even reconcile with his family. Thabo's success story gives Zama hope that perhaps, one day, she can fully atone for her past mistakes. Thabo thanks Zama for reaching out to him and offers his forgiveness. He tells her that while their affair nearly destroyed him, it also taught him valuable lessons about greed, power, and redemption. Zama is deeply moved by his words, realizing that her journey is not just about undoing the past, but also about learning and growing from it. Zama knows that her final and most difficult task is to confront Sizwe once again. Despite his harsh rejection, she feels compelled to offer him a sincere apology. She tracks him down at his new office, where he has started a small consulting business after leaving politics. Sizwe is cold at first, but Zama insists on speaking her truth. She apologizes for the pain she caused him, acknowledging the role she played in his downfall. To her surprise, Sizwe softens. Though he does not fully forgive her, he admits that he respects her for coming forward and owning up to her mistakes. Zama leaves the meeting feeling a sense of closure, even if full forgiveness was not achieved. As Zama continues to reflect on the meaning of the ancestors' message, she realizes that the ultimate sacrifice may be more personal than she initially thought. Gogo Namvula advises her that in order to fully break the curse, Zama must sacrifice the one thing she holds most dear, her ability to manipulate and control others through her charm. Zama knows that this sacrifice will mean giving up the very power that has defined her life. It will require her to embrace vulnerability, humility, and a new way of living. Though the thought terrifies her, Zama is determined to see the curse lifted, not just for herself but for future generations of her family. After much reflection, Zama decides to undergo a final cleansing ritual, one that will seal her commitment to the sacrifice. She returns to Gogo Namvula's home, where the healer prepares her for the ceremony. This time, Zama feels a sense of peace as she steps into the ritual circle, knowing that she is ready to let go of her old ways. As the ritual progresses, Zama feels a powerful release, as if the weight of the curse is lifting from her shoulders. The whispers in her dreams fade away, and for the first time in years, she feels a sense of clarity. The ancestors, she knows, have accepted her sacrifice. In the weeks following the final ritual, Zama's life begins to stabilize. Her business, now under Sizwe's leadership, thrives once again. Zama, free from the need for control, focuses on healing the relationships she has neglected. She reconnects with her family, repairing the bonds that had been strained by her past actions. Though the journey has been long and painful, Zama begins to feel a sense of healing. She realizes that redemption is not a destination, but a process, one that requires constant reflection, growth, and humility. Zama reaches out to the people she hurt, not just the men she seduced, but also the friends and family she neglected during her rise to power. She spends time with her mother, who is pleased to see the changes in her daughter. Their relationship, once strained, begins to heal. Zama also rekindles her friendships with Ayanda and others who had distanced themselves from her. She is honest about her past mistakes and the lessons she has learned, and in return, they welcome her back into their lives. For the first time in years, Zama feels the warmth of true companionship. With Sizwe at the helm of her company, Zama takes a backseat role, focusing on mentoring young entrepreneurs and giving back to the community. She no longer feels the need to control every aspect of her business, trusting Sizwe and the team to lead the company in a positive direction. Under Sizwe's leadership, the business flourishes, and Zama is proud of what they have built together. She realizes that true power does not come from control, but from collaboration and trust. Her business is now a reflection of her new values, and she feels fulfilled in a way she never did before. As Zama reflects on her journey, she understands that the curse was not just a punishment, but a lesson. It taught her the importance of humility, compassion, and accountability. She no longer sees herself as a victim of fate, but as someone who has the power to change her destiny through her actions. Zama vows to use the lessons of the past to guide her future. She knows that life will continue to present challenges, but she is no longer afraid. She has faced her demons, both internal and external, and come out stronger on the other side. After years of turmoil, Zama finally finds peace. The curse is broken, and the whispers that once haunted her dreams are gone. She feels a deep sense of gratitude toward Gogo Namvula, her ancestors, and the people who supported her along the way. Zama's life is no longer defined by power and control, but by love, compassion, and connection. She feels at peace with herself and the world around her, knowing that she has done the hard work of redemption. Zama's journey has transformed her in ways she never could have imagined. She is no longer the woman who used her charm to manipulate others for her own gain. Instead, she is someone who values integrity, humility, and the well-being of those around her. As she looks to the future, Zama is determined to leave behind a new legacy, one of compassion, forgiveness, and growth. She wants to be remembered not for her mistakes, but for the way she overcame them and helped others along the way. In the final chapter of her life, Zama reflects on the long and difficult journey she has taken. She is grateful for the lessons she has learned and the people who have supported her along the way. Though the road to redemption was not easy, she knows that it was worth it. Zama has found peace, not just with herself but with the world around her. She no longer seeks power or control, but love, connection, and understanding. Her journey is a testament to the power of forgiveness, both from others and from oneself. And in the end, Zama has found the redemption she so desperately sought. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Kindly share, subscribe, and hit the bell button for more stories like this.